Saturday, feeling good. Got my coffee here. Needed to survive, but I'm trying something out today. The whole reason I have a YouTube channel instead of maybe making articles about what I want to talk about is because I want there to be an interaction between me and my viewers, and I want your viewpoints when creating my RPG, which is what I'm still working on. But I wanted to document this experience, and I wanted to include you guys for as much as I possibly can in this process. After all, I'm not going to be playing it by myself the whole time. I really want to throw it out into the world for free. You can find my games for free on the diceamble.com website because I love this form of creativity. I love to experience playing with people, and I love it when people are able to provide their ideas in a free space that they feel for the love of the game, if you will. I'm not expecting any money or at all in this process. All I want is to build a community, to build something that ultimately I'm gonna be proud of. And so far, I'm pretty proud of what we've done. I guess I can do a little bit of housekeeping. I've been putting up a video every Monday for the last couple months, with the exception of one because I think I was either really sick or like I had like a vacation or something like that. But I've been trying to keep it very consistent with how I've been making things that I am very interested in when it comes to TTRPGs. I'm not the type of guy that's going to go over all the hard mechanics or rules. I like to think about the ideas behind certain concepts that I can present. Like, a lot of my videos are a little bit weird, but I am enjoying them. So, honestly, I really do believe that if you enjoy making the content, then ultimately it will show in the way it looks and the way that it's presented, and it'll just be better quality because I'm loving what I'm doing. And so far, yes, I am loving what I'm doing. So that hopefully that means I'm making better content than I would be if I were otherwise. But anyway, everything I've been doing has been trying to build up a community, build up a way for me to communicate these ideas and present them to you. So we don't currently have people in the chat right now, but the idea is for me Saturday mornings to be here with just relaxing beats, some coffee, just me and my Nat ones talking about the game, talking about ideas. I plan on doing like making maps out here. Let me show you guys. So I got my incarnate up and I have a couple maps here, and I have one free one right here that's pretty empty right now, but this is the template for what I'm thinking will be this next world building endeavor. So let me go ahead and show you guys. As you can see, there's a lot of just empty spaces here, which will be filled up hopefully during the live streams that I do every week. And honestly, I watch videos like this and it's very satisfying to be able to watch someone just no, we're not doing that, to be able to fill up and be creative while creating a map. And plus got the lo-fi beats going. Speaking of which, are those too loud? Let me check on those for y'all. Oh yeah, no, that's fantastic. But anyway, so let me get back to it. Whoopsies. I'm clearly very new to this, but that's okay. Gotta start somewhere. Alright, so what are we talking about today? Also, you guys like my morning voice? It's... That was hot. Alright. My morning voice is significantly deeper than my normal voice, but that's fine. I think it makes for like a good radio host feel, you know? So, we'll see. Alright, what are we doing today? Well, I want to document... That's what this stream is for. I want to include you guys, which is the main thing, but I also want to document my experience and like my creative thoughts when it comes to this stuff. Here's what I want to document today. I am not super happy with kind of what I presented. I think that's been clear in the videos I've been making for the last couple weeks, is that I'm pointing out errors I've made in the past, and that's okay, because people can make mistakes, but I want to grow from it. So Trichonomist, for any new viewers out there, is a game I've been working on, a TTRPG, which if you don't know what that is, it's a tabletop role-playing game where you roll dice, you tell a story with your friends, you fight monsters, and you're basically trying to create this world, create this narrative with your friends, with a person that's in charge of the world called the GM. And Trichonomist is a way to do that. And what I started with was this world, right? I built this world, I built these nations, I built their currency, I built their languages, their cultures, their religions. I created a diverse amount of religions, the history of their worlds, and if you know anything about world building, you know that might be kind of a red flag. That's a little too soon, early in the process to be able to be doing that. But regardless, I have. And I'm left here with a very detailed world. And I want to distinguish these ideas. A detailed world is not bad, right? I mean, look at Tolkien. He went to extreme detail in it. But there is a clear difference between that and just making a world that has all these intricate details and like very specific parts of it that are very, very intimate with his creator. Like I feel like I got to know the people that I was like creating, the civilians. Like I understood their philosophy about life, and I pinned them. That's the reason I was able to say like, okay, these people don't get along with these people because these people think that this way and this. Yeah, it's all great, but it wasn't intriguing enough to have someone want to explore that world. Does that make sense? During the playtests, during my videos about vibes, which by the way, check that out if you haven't, I wasn't planning on bringing my channel, my RPG up in the script, but I couldn't help it because I felt almost hypocritical in a way. Because in that video, I said that you should take a vibe and use that to form the rest of your game, either it's a campaign or a TTRPG, around that, right? What's a vibe? It's like a feeling you're trying to invoke. And I really did not have a clear picture of what I wanted that to be. And it ended up being some high fantasy thing. And I just told them like, hey, by the way, there's an ancient past of like ancient technology and science that we don't understand. But that wasn't anywhere to be seen. And that didn't affect the gameplay or the world in any actual real way. However, I still love that idea. The fact that you can have this sci-fi-esque world inside on this planet, it being wiped out and basically being reset to a fantasy type of setting in the context of that. I think that's an intriguing idea, and I'm willing to explore that further. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna present an idea, and if you're live in the chat, then you'll be able to, also. It's supposed to be calming in the morning, and then I blast you guys with this sound. That's crazy. But anyway, let me go ahead and switch to my other camera so that it's a little more interesting to look at. All right. So here's what I'm thinking. All right. Here's what I'm thinking. Golly, dude. Okay. I lied. I have nothing to show. Is it obvious that I haven't done this ever? Okay. All that I made, I don't want to throw it away. But it was very clear that I wanted to make a world based off of feeling, invoking a feeling, but I was failing at that and invoking a totally different one. So what am I going to do? I'm going to have Trichonomist be the overall arching TTRPG. Trichonomist in itself is the name of a system. What system? Well, let me show you guys, actually. I'll show you guys what I've been working on, because, that's what you get. If you stick around with me on Saturday mornings, then you get to see how the sausage gets made. I like this chill vibe. It feels like Avatar a little bit, you know what I mean? Let's just vibe for a second. This is why you guys are here after all, right? This is that premium content. Oh my goodness. All right. So I just want to make sure we don't lose those sick beats while I'm here. Okay. Let me show you guys how the sausage is getting made currently. All right. So I use Canva for pretty much everything because I'm a poor boy, and frankly, I can't I can't afford right now in my life any fancy tech to be able to design what I'm designing. But you know what? That's fine. It's been doing the job, and I actually think I've been doing okay when it comes to it. So this is the Trichotomist character sheet that we're looking at right now. This is the one that I'm working for. It's very different. This is what the original one looked like, the one that I presented to you guys in the last videos and everything. And nothing wrong with it, but there are a couple things that I had issues with. But we can get into that in a different video. We're talking about world building today. So the reason it's called Trichotomist is because I'm dividing every character into body, mind, and soul. And that's where you kind of get different roles from. Like you might roll for power, which is like a strength-based roll. That's under your body, so you'll go ahead and roll for power. In this case, you'll roll a certain amount of dice. So as of the alpha version, you would roll a certain amount of D6s, and that's how you determine it. It took me a little bit to realize that the only reason I named it Trichotomist is because of that mechanic. and I simply just had this world that the mechanic existed in, and that was that. Dude, you know you're doing wrong when not even the title is helping with the world building at all. Like, it doesn't have anything to do with anything else I created. I called them Trichotomists. Is like, oh, no. It's like, that's the type of creature they are. It's like, okay, but dude, what do these kingdoms, what did any of this have to do with anything? And I couldn't tell you. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, I don't know if I can. I'm gonna use a whiteboard. Hey, I should have like a whiteboard behind me so I can like, I'm teaching a lecture or something. Here's what I'm gonna do. Trichotomist is going to be an umbrella term for the creations, the TTRPGs that I'm having now, that I'm making. And I'm gonna have different types of settings that you can play in, but the system, the character sheet, the basic rulebook will never change. The only things that will change are the setting that you're in and the abilities that your characters can have in order to match that setting, right? So there could be Trichotomist Wild West version. They can be trichotomist high fantasy, trichotomist, you know, whatever. It gives a lot of creative freedom, not just to me as the one making these, but as the player or the GM that maybe he just likes the way the trichotomist system works, and he wants to take that system and make a huge world, make his own abilities around that. You can even have different characters, like a Wild West character with the abilities and everything taken out of that one little part of the game and placed into a high fantasy game if they want to. You know, have like a multiverse kind of thing. And what I want is for there to be as much possibilities as possible for the players, for the GMs, and honestly for myself. And this is the best way I feel to do that. Because I still care a lot about mechanics, and I want to make a set of mechanics that's going to work well, and I want to have an umbrella term so that I don't have to have like maybe 20 just okay, like almost fully developed RPGs. Instead, I can have a network of an RPG that has a ton of settings that can be used, and they're all very well developed because I don't have to recreate mechanics for rules and everything like that. The playtesting part of mechanics is definitely the most grueling part. I do enjoy it. I like rolling dice, finding out the statistics, coming up with the best possibilities, coming up, with creative ways to go about that. I'm currently trying to figure out a perfect way to go about, tracking health, because it's tough because I want to make sure it's diverse or applicable enough to several different settings. Because I don't want all of them to be, super low stakes. I don't want all of them to be very combat heavy. How can I meet that in the middle? I'm probably going to make videos about that. So that's kind of my thinking here. And I've spent about 20 minutes rambling on about, I guess, why I'm doing this live stream. So that's probably not good for viewer retention, but that's, Okay, so what are we going to do, Dante? What are we going to do? What are we going to do about that? We are going to take the setting that I have and just split it in certain ways that make sense. I'm going to keep everything I created because I worked really hard on making all those cultures, all that world, and I'm going to call that Trichotomist Conquest or something like that. Trichotomist, having to do with the nations, about political power. I'm gonna amplify that aspect of the game. Maybe the players will be leaders of these different nations. Maybe they have complex relationships with one another. Maybe there's war happening all the time. No matter what, I'm going to keep that, but I'm going to put that on the shelf for a minute because I'm much more interested in what I was going to try to make in the first place, which is a world that feels like you're in a wonderful, whimsical place that has reasons of existing that way because of a forgotten and ancient science, right? I think that's a cool concept. And we are going to, I think that's an awesome concept because I love the feeling of invoking that inner curiosity of what is this doing here, or how did this come about. So what we're gonna do is that map I showed you. I'm gonna kind of give you guys a little elevator pitch of what I'm thinking of reinforcing this idea, right? Reinforcing this idea of wonder. You might notice that the entire face of the planet, or this area of the planet that we are working with here, has a gigantic thing in the middle. Looks a little bit like a crater because it is. And I'm not going to tell you why. I'm not going to tell you how, but all you need to know is that something happened and a lot of things got destroyed. Sticking out of the ground into mountainsides, you'll see giant structures made of metal, resembling what used to be spaceships, but now is just rubble. Underground networks of what used to be bases are now just more like caves and actual hallways, reinforcing this idea that we had a well-developed society that was wiped clean, leaving behind the rubble of things you don't understand. There are animals there that are actually just made of metal. There are creatures there that were maybe past failed experiments. And there are a lot of diverse creatures there. There are a lot of diverse species. So one thing I'm also taking away from Trichotomous is I presented an idea of a magic system. The magic system would be flow, is what it's called. Why is it called that? It's because it is an energy that covers the surface of the planet. You can experience it almost like wind if you're connected or able to be able to sense it. We call that having a genic or genic magic, is when you're able to be aware of the flow. You can hear it, and if you're really trained, you can actually tap into it and be able to see it. And it looks like a blue wind that's gushing. Gushing? Wind doesn't do that. That's flowing over the surface, through things, around things, and it's heavier in certain areas, and you can manipulate that to basically use magic. And I thought of a lot of creative ways you can do that, but we'll talk about magic systems in a future video. Right now, this is a very overview idea. The challenge here is to make sense and to fix what I've messed up a little bit. So I'm taking this world that I've presented in the past and turning it into two. Why? To amplify the feelings I want you to invoke. I wanted a sense of wonder, and I'm gonna get that here. You know, I can have this sense of like a huge world with complex politics. We can worry about that later. That could be a different version of the game. But right now, let's really focus everything we can. And that was kind of hard to do. I had to let go of a lot of different things. Like, part of me is not super comfortable having such abstract ideas, like such crazy ideas. I like to have my games a little more grounded. So this was an exercise for me, but I've eventually come around and I've grown to love the idea that maybe these concepts don't need to make total sense, you know, but that's the whole part of it, is that it's a mystery, maybe even to the players or maybe even to the GM. They don't need to know everything, is one thing I hear preached all the time when it comes to world building, and I'm actually going to exercise that here, even though I've been watching Brandon Sanderson for years, and he's all about hard magic systems and understanding your world and having ways to explain it. And that's kind of what I formed myself around, but honestly, I'm starting to break away from that a little bit. I think that a magic system, yes, you can have the explanation to how it works. You can have the science behind it. And I think there are ways you can do that in this game, but you don't need to have the answers for everything, right? In this game, I had a list of ideas just typed away at my notes app, which is, I need my notes app in order to survive. But I'm thinking there can be like insane things. Like, I want there to be a rib cage, like a giant colossal rib cage sticking out of the ground that they built a city on. And for some reason, the flow energy allows it for people to walk on that surface, defying gravity in a sense. but it's because gravity doesn't quite work the same because of this energy that's being provided. So people are like, oh, I might as well build a city here. And there's like a massive city. We'll call that the Cage, right? And there's another city that people discover there's this gigantic wandering robot, right? And they found out he's friendly. Maybe a couple of them climbed on his back and they're like, wow, we're safe from any animals up here, right? There's a city built on the back of this giant wandering robot that just paces around this land. People live there. So one, for transportation, they can get on him at one point and then maybe 100 miles later be able to get off. And while they're on his back, might as well go see a show or go to the nearest inn, you know? The walking city. Cool idea. There's going to be but yeah, there's a network of bases and fortresses and tunnels and a spaceship that has crash landed is now, like, you can see part of it sticking out of the ground. It might be like an iceberg and actually be gigantic, and most of it's underground. And the only way to find out is by going inside. These were things that were not prioritized in the last game, even though I talked about how I wanted it to be this, like, whoa, this is crazy kind of idea, but it was way too grounded. And I needed room to be able to stretch those whimsical limbs and be able to explore these different ideas, because frankly, if I'm playing D&D and I'm promised a whimsical, out of this world type of world building, just another town is not going to be of interest to me, and frankly it doesn't align with what I was promised originally. So that was my concern. Here we're going to have it different, and I wanted to show in every part, especially the characters. So I made a very diverse cast of species, which I'm actually really excited about. So, as you know, it was a sci-fi world before it is what it is now. There are aliens, including humans, which I think is interesting, that came to this planet. For some reason, everything got wiped, and now they exist. What are the species now? Well, I figured I should just go all out, and I'm deciding that the flow energy that's on the planet is very powerful. It's very influential, and it provides a lot of life, provides a lot of, distortion in reality in some ways. And because of that, I think that prior to the aliens arriving, there has already been creatures there. Trichonomists, right? What are trichonomists? They have a mind, body, and soul. Animals are not trichonomists because they don't have a soul, or they don't have a mind. Robots aren't trichonomists because they don't have a soul. Plants aren't trichonomists because they only have a body, really. But what if this flow energy was able to provide that soul aspect, awaken this spark within them? And what if it's able to develop them into trichonomists? So I think the locals should literally be a part of this world. We're talking people made of plants, like not tree people necessarily, although they can be, but people that out of the forest, out of this vegetation, sprung this life, this soul, and they became just regular people. They got developed, What if this happened to stone or, other materials as well? So I want to make that very available. What if people made robots and they infused it with this soul in some way? I'm going to put names to all these species later, but I'm just presenting the ideas right now. There are a lot of possibilities you can do there. And those would just be the locals, right? The aliens would be, humans. I have a couple more ideas of what kind of aliens they would be. Humans, I'd like it if there was a creature that could, its whole thing is it knows the language of the universe. It's able to speak words and it's able to influence the rest of the world. So if it said in that language, that secret language that only it understands how to say, and it's spent years studying the dialect and it's able to say the language of the universe. If it said the word burn, things would probably start burning around it, because you're commanding the universe to bring forth that burning quality. So that's a magic system that I would probably use for all the things under the umbrella. It's just a simple way to come to say, all right, you can say this, you can make runes with this by it's not just saying the words, it's writing them. That's also say something. So if you're able to say strength, and you draw the word strength on somebody or tattoo it on them, maybe that's a source of some strength for them, which is, I think is really cool. Obviously there are, and one cool thing I think would be the only way to gain more access to these words, again, we're going to play into the apocalypse idea here. The only way to grow your vocabulary of the universal language is to discover the word, right? In some ancient texts that were lost because of the explosion. Dude, if you have this magic, your incentive to go diving into that spaceship dungeon or look for any temples you can is so high, because you literally, just by learning a word and studying it and discovering it, are able to have another, ability, basically. So you might know the word for burn, but what if you want to know the word for, live or heal or life? Again, I don't want to make it just super hard magic spells, because I want the player to be really creative with it. So if the word is grow, maybe it would be easy for have a little plant grow. What if you want to make, a sword, you have a dagger, but you need a sword right now. You want the sword to grow. Well, that's going to be a lot harder, but we don't know the limits of this universal magic, so why not try? I think that would be really, really cool for this world. But there's also a harder magic system if you prefer, the Genetic magic. Using the flow energy, I think, would be really more predictable and more strategic. So there's something for everybody out there. But it all reinforces this idea that you should explore and you should not fully understand what's going on in this world, and that's okay. In fact, I think it's fantastic. So, let's pretend that, so you got the idea of this world. There are robots that were programmed to protect a certain part that used to be a base, but now is just regular land. Maybe it's just a field, but they're still programmed to protect it. So if you cross paths with it, it's going to try to kill you, because that's what it was programmed to do literally hundreds and hundreds of years ago. It's still running off that. You got, like I said before, failed science experiments that could be a potential threat. You got, and maybe if you're playing a big campaign and you want a grand finale, maybe some aliens come back and they're like, let's wipe out everyone on this planet so we can get the resources, because it'll be so easy, right? They're primitive is what they would say. Oh, dude, there's a lot of things you could do here, but, and I want there to be just a canvas for people to be able to work with, using these different resources, using these different ideas to craft what they want. But I would like it if I could create, I guess, as if I was writing a book, to be able to say, all right, here's where you can start. All right, so you might notice that on the surface of this planet, there is a weird little crater thing of water right there. Some land is missing. Well, Let's find out why. Back when there was a catastrophic event, some people prepared themselves for that. All right, I want to return my maps. Thank you. Some people prepared themselves. Oh, I don't have to save. It's fine. Some people prepared themselves, and some people went underground to try to survive. And this one area, this country-sized block, well, it's not really country-sized because it would have some damage done to it after, is actually just an island that was taken up into the air to protect itself from the mass explosion. It's been up there for 500 years with a diverse amount of people. And here's kind of the layout. I should have saved making this map for another live stream, but this is what you kind of had to look forward to. So it's kind of a homey vibe here. You know, you got your towns and everything. The players, this is a potential starter for, you know, a campaign or whatever. The players start off in this society. All they know is peace. All they know is this small amount of land that they grew up on. It's very diverse. And they talk to the leader who tells them the science behind how their island is floating. It's using flow energy. And they are presented a problem. Hey, you know those little tremors you've been feeling? Those little earthquakes? Well, don't tell anyone else, but that's actually because the island itself is no longer maintaining its stability and might potentially plummet to the earth. Not only killing every single person on the island, of course, but it would be a catastrophic event. Like, have you ever seen Age of Ultron, when the whole premise was we gotta stop this island from, we gotta stop this landmass from falling because it would be, you know, it would wipe out the Earth because it is such a big mass. It would basically be like a giant meteorite. So the stakes are high right away. So they are tasked to go down to the surface and find out how to stop this from happening. They all have family there. There's a lot of incentive to do so. And there's also a good way for the players to not have any idea what they have to expect down there. Because the whole point of this game is to, you know, present this idea of wonder, this, you know, invoke this feeling that anything can happen. A more whimsical feeling. And that is hopefully what they will receive. So that's what I'm thinking right now. In the future, let me see. And I hope you guys haven't been, I just realized I haven't been looking at my, I don't think I've been looking at my chat. Oh crap. Oh no. Let me double check. No, I think we're fine. I'm giving myself way too much credit, dude. Oh man. Anyway, okay, so why am I talking about this at all? That's an excellent question. I really want you guys to be involved in what's going on, right? I really want you guys to give your input, and I would, I wish I could see what you guys are saying. Come on now. Did I not enable it? Oh crap, guys, I suck. Oh, I'm so bad. This is my first live stream. Give some slack, please. Currently trying to figure out, you know, what might be going on right now. Oh well. Okay. No matter. Okay. Man, these... How about these beats, though, huh? Alright. Let's go ahead and get back to this. So, that's pretty much the idea we're going for here. This invoking this sense of wonder. And let me tell you what, if you come across a city that I described before, something that's fantastical, then you're gonna be experiencing that. A curiosity is what I want to. So this is that's the challenge we have today. That's the challenge we have for the next year, probably. But here's the thing, guys. If the world we present has a history, has a potential, and has a very high likelihood of other people being around, and not just in a multiverse setting, not in just a multiversal way, but in an actual universe way, when it's like, there are aliens out there. Humans got here by ship, which means in proximity to this universe, there are other creatures. That means the natural next step after I fully develop this world is to make a sci-fi adventure template for the Trichotomous game, which I'm very excited about. I have some buddies that are pretty experienced in making games like this, and I would really like to partner with them to be able to create this. A lot of good things are happening, guys, and I think it starts with being honest with ourselves and being honest with the process in order to really have more potential in the future, right? If we nail the system, the Trichotomous umbrella, then the things that come after will thrive. So, no pressure, but but like I said before, I'm not wasting everything I've said in the past. In fact, I think that could just live on its own as a game. I believe it or not, Trichotomous was originally a revamp or a reskin of this TCRPG that I made years ago called Glory or Ruin, which is almost the exact same setting as Trichotomous Alpha. So we are going to, I guess for now, forget that ever happened. We don't have, that's not the way I want to think about it, but we do need to make a change if we want this to actually have some longevity. So I'm going to be building a world, and I'm going to be working with you guys every Saturday morning at 9 o'clock Central for about an hour. It will be on my channel no matter what, but of just me yapping about the topic of that time. I don't know what I'm going to be presenting next week. I'm probably going to be talking about all the different species and people groups, but the purpose of this morning was to present what I was thinking going forward in this experience and to let you guys know that I'll be reading the chats as I go. I don't know why I can't read them this morning, but I promise in a week's time I'll figure it out. But we are kicking off the challenge of making one world at a time with not the purpose of detail, but the purpose of invoking an emotion. So if you guys have any suggestions for that, let me know. Next week, I'm going to go ahead and say it now. Next week, we're going to talk about the species and the kind of way I'm going about making classes, which is not normal. So that should incentivize a little bit of you to stick around next week as well. Man, I'm having a good time. And I can't see my chat or anything, so I don't know if anyone's out there. Probably not, but that's okay, because I'm not doing this for fame. I'm doing this because I like creating things. What can you say? What can I say? I'm not like other girls, is what I'm trying to say. All right, that's it for this morning. If you're just now got here, please stick around. Not in this stream, but maybe subscribe, because I'm going to implement actual feedback from you guys live every Saturday morning when creating a TTRPG that I'm working on right now. And this is just the beginning. I will admit, when creating other, like, the videos of me presenting these ideas, I always said that, oh, I really want, like, you guys to help me out, so comment down below. But the problem is that when you create and edit a video based off a script or based off an idea that you have, there's very little back and forth that can happen, you know? I've already made the video, so the ideas I present are what I present, you know? And it's hard for me to collaborate if I've already done it. So this will be literally a live back and forth interaction between all you guys, because I'm gonna be honest, you guys are way better at coming up with ideas than me. I've read the comments. I know you guys are just awesome, and it's a resource that I feel like doesn't get used that much in the creation parts of things, and I want to do that because I wish I had something like that when I was, you know, getting into this hobby. But anyway, that's it for now. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see y'all again next week. If not, well, take care and keep being creative. Goodbye.